Welcome to On Air with Kash. Our guest today stars in the Movie Guide award-winning film 5,000 Blankets. His new film, Sweet on You, is available to watch now on UPTV. He just released his latest single, No Other. Please welcome my buddy, Rob Mays.
Hey! What's going
Rob,
on,
oh my
man?
gosh, it's so good to see you. I know we got to catch up again at the Movie Guide Awards. Your film 5,000 Blankets won, you presented, and I feel like every time I run into you, you've got like 3 or 4 movies coming out, you got a new song coming out. How do you manage to do it all?
Man, thank you for that. It's been wild, man. But it's been good, and I feel very blessed. The hard work and the hustle and all the manifesting that goes into this, I think is there's something to be said for it.
It was so good to reconnect. You know, you and I go back a bit. I was at WME. We were doing voiceovers with you at the time. And I think it was right around, because you had already like established a name for yourself as an actor and a musician. You have such range as an artist. And I think this was right before John Dies at the End, which was like really your breakthrough.
Man, yeah, talk about a throwback. I mean, that was, I think, what we premiered at Sundance with John Dies in like 2011, 2012, something like that.
Yeah. You've just always had that hustle. I mean, like I said, going, starting when you had just were appearing on all these shows, and then you have this breakthrough performance and John Dies. And literally, I mean, ever since we've been friends for the last decade, I feel like, boom, it's like every time I check in with you, it's not just one movie. It's like even the other night when we ran into each other, it's like, oh yeah, this movie's coming out. You got another one. And you just filmed something out that's coming out later this year. I'm reading about your new album. Listen to it. And I'm always, I got to say, my favorite tune from you is Beer Cuz.
Hey, rock on, man. Yeah, that's a fun one. It's a dumb song, but it's fun, you know? I got to say, though, that it is a dumb song, but I wrote that with 2 of the finest songwriters in all of Nashville, which is just wild to me. You know, I feel so blessed to get to work with these guys, and that these songwriters keep saying yes to more rights. And I mean, these guys have countless Grammys and hits and number ones, and you know, it's wild, man.
And you incorporate that a lot in your music because your new feature film, Just Jake, it is a country music movie. You wrapped it in Colorado over the holidays, and you also did write the songs for it, as well as collaborated with some pretty heavy duty artists as well.
Crazy. You know, and that story is kind of insane because, you know, I was asked to go down to Palm Beach and do this Rama Drama signing convention, and which I love doing, and I get to see, you know, the fans, meet fans, and a lot of the fans now have become truthfully, you know, good friends of mine, you know, and it's been really cool. And I was sitting down there and the director of this movie, which I didn't even know anything about, was sitting there. And he was wearing a hat. It said PIA. PIA. What's PIA, right? Well, if you know, it's Dallas Davidson's publishing company in Nashville. Dallas has, man, I don't know, 27, 28 number ones. You know, his first hit was Honky Tonk Donk Donk. You know, like just crazy stuff. And I asked him about the hat, and he was like, "Dude, you know Dallas?" I was like, I do. We actually just worked on a movie together. We just wrote a song that I ended up releasing, which ended up being the title track and the name of the album, my 4th album that I just put out at the end of the year. And we got to talking, and we hit it off, and ended up getting COVID after the convention because everyone was all over each other. And then shortly thereafter, he called me and said, "Hey, man, you know, we're going to make a country music movie. You know, you have any interest in doing that?" And I was like, "What?" You know, wild, man.
Amazing. No, I love those stories, and I love how things come full circle like that. And speaking of, you're currently in a new movie, Sweet on You. You can watch it now on UPTV. And this actually reunites you with Marla Sokoloff. You both acted in A Road Home for Christmas together, and this time she's behind the camera directing you and Haylie Duff.
Yeah, and she's in front of the camera for a very short time in the first scene of the movie with actually Haylie's daughter Ryan. And then there's this really cool camera trick they do, and it goes from her, and it reveals that, oh, now the young girl, the daughter, has grown up, and it's Haylie, and then we sadly don't see Marla anymore in the movie, but she directed the whole thing, obviously, and man, she did a great job, man. I couldn't be more proud of this film.
That's amazing. I know. And, you know, it's uplifting. You know, your character comes to this small town. There's kind of he has an agenda he's sent there for a reason by his family, and he's conflicted because he meets Haylie's character. And it's really your character is weighing in what's most important to you and where do you want to go with your life.
Yeah, you know, and I think the cool thing is, like, these uplifting rom-coms, whether they're Christmas movies or not. I mean, obviously, admittedly, share a very similar formula. And it's like, well, the formula works. And, a lot of times it's, the small town, the big city, blah, blah. But it's like, man, there's something to that. And there's something so beautiful, in the quaintness and the community and the small town. And for me, that's what's cool about doing these movies is trying to bring as much, truthfulness, but also, humor and maybe some quirk, to the character and to the scenes, and to make them grounded, and to make them real, and to make them, special each and every time.
Oh, exactly. And I feel like that's even the essence of UPTV, and even what the film genre in the Movie Guide Awards. Everyone I talked to that night, everyone was just so supportive of each other, and all the other actors were, it just seemed like everyone was like, we want to uplift people, tell deep stories, but make people feel good. And because even your other film, 5,000 Blankets, that won the most uplifting independent film that's streaming on TV.
Yes, it did. Which I'm very, 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 very proud to be a part of. It reunited me with a producer, Doug Schaefer. We had done a movie together in Hawaii a handful of years ago, and man, I saw that audition come through, and I was like, man, I need to be in this movie, and it's a spectacularly shot and edited and directed and acted film. I mean, it's just spectacular. I mean, Anna Camp is just beyond. She's absolute perfection in the movie. Carson Minier, he's the kid who plays, my son, our son, is an absolute genius. I could not be happier or more thrilled or more prouder of him. And at the end of the day, we told a true story. It's a story that actually happened, and we portray real people. And I think it's touched some hearts.
It connects. I mean, you're brilliant in everything that you do, but this specific performance, because it does address so many things. It was a deep character that you portrayed. As I've gotten older, like I have just even relatives of mine who have served in the Army, and one, my uncle who actually worked construction with when I was in college, he was a veteran. He went through some mental health and would resort to, like, we'd work and then he would disappear, go on a bender. So when I see characters like how you portrayed in 5,000 Blankets, I feel like, wow, I like that's represented, it's being talked about, and it's really showing layers to characters that I think need our support, need our sympathy. And then when you have our they're just like, like I said, Car's so brilliant. I'm so happy for him too. I got to chat with him a little bit. He spoke very highly of you at the award show.
So I understand that you're the inspiration behind the film 5,000 Blankets. You're one of the stars with my buddy Rob Mays.
Yes, definitely. Rob was a pleasure to work with.
So when I see just all this incredible talent going in and telling these stories, I feel like we have a relative, or we have something that we can connect to.
I think it affects all of us in some capacity. For those of us that live in cities, we see the homeless problem every day. Now that I live in Nashville, I don't see it as much, but I know it's there and it's getting worse. And if you're not seeing it front and center with your own eyeballs, we know people, whether it's ourselves or family members or friends, that struggle and deal with mental health issues. There's an intersection, where those two meet. So yeah, that was a tough movie to shoot because the headspace that I had to be in, but I really wanted to do as much justice as I could and to honor Bobby. He's still out in the streets. It's a tough situation, but I'm so blessed to be a part of it. The fact that Cindy Bunch was able to, along with her son, our son, but in real life, create this foundation that raises money and blankets and goods for the homeless population in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was like, man, this script would have been something special, had it just come out of someone's head, not of their imagination. But it's all the more special when you're telling real people stories, and I think it hits that much harder. And so I wanted to do as much justice as I could, and to honor him, to honor his struggle. Yeah.
And that was so beautifully said. And I think now more than ever, I do like, because I've had some great conversations with artists who have, we're opening up more about, our personal struggles, what we've been through, whether it was a relationship or whether it was something that happens when we're kids. I like that people are having these conversations. We're seeing it represented in films, and it allows people to connect and us to have understanding and sympathy for one another. And I think now we need unity more than ever. So I commend you for taking on a role this powerful and congratulate you for the work that you've done and continue to do. UPTV, this is the most uplifting independent streaming award. And then you also have this new film out. You have a new single. What's next for you, my friend?
Man, I was just able to get in a workout in here today, which felt real nice. It's been raining like crazy here in LA. I've been in LA for about a week. We had a screening of Sweet on You just last week, and it aired on Sunday just a couple of days ago. And it's just been downpouring rain, so it's a blessing to have these blue skies, and it's warmed up a little bit, and so I'm kind of just taking a breath, man, talking to you, and a lot of goodness, a lot of goodness.
It's interesting too, is I was Marla Sokoloff. That was when right around the time I met you. Yeah, I was working on a music video. I was producing it, and she was the female lead in it for a friend, Cindy Alexander. She played the girlfriend. I was producing it, and I had a small part. I think my role was called the dude, but I knew who Marla was. I grew up watching. Yeah, so it was so cool to have that. My dad grew up with the creator of Full House, so I was always at those parties. I never met Marla before, so it was cool. And then she's had success with Fuller House. You two have worked together, and then you're part of this new movie that she directed, Sweet on You.
Dude, it's so cool, man. And she is just so whip smart. I mean, her comedic timing, like there's nobody better, It's cool to have worked with her now, twice, and to get to call her a friend, and to now be proud of two films that we've done together.
I love it. No, and you're so generous. You care so much about the other artists that you work with. And you also have Lost and Found in Cleveland. That have you started working on it yet? That's the new one with Martin Sheen, Stacey Keach, and Dennis Haysbert, just to name a few names.
Just to name a few names that might ring a bell. Man, it's crazy. John Lovitz is in it, who's one of my favorite comics of all time. Dot Marie Jones. The list just goes on and on and on. I mean, look it up on IMDb. It's like, wait a minute, this is a Mac Daddy cast. And yeah, to answer your question, I was just in Cleveland, my hometown where I'm from, and that's where we shot it. Yeah, I was only on board for a little while, but I was able to bring back the mustache and play a guy who's a real piece of work. So we just finished that up. I'm really excited for that. I got another movie that's coming out hopefully later this year that I did with the great Beau Bridges and Lee Brice and Dallas Davidson. And it's called Neon Highway. It's crazy, man. I mean, it's like, you say every time we talk, there's all these movies and stuff. It's like, sometimes it looks that way, but there's a lot of downtime, and there's a lot of waiting, and there's a lot of hustle. And sometimes it looks like, oh, wow, these things happen so fast, and look at all these things. And it's like, well, man, it's that picture of the meme of the iceberg,
Mm-hmm.
Like all we see is this little tiny thing, and it's just peeking out of the water, and what's underneath it, this massive hunk of ice, that just supports it all. And it's all that work, all that hustle, all that keeping the faith, man. I think if you can keep doing that, sometimes it pays off.
In your case, I think it always pays off. And you said it right there. If you were to look at like either one of our social medias, it would look like, wow, we're everywhere all at once. But there is that downtime. There's whether it's constantly auditioning or booking guests. So much goes in even developing a project. I don't have to tell you, because you go from one to the next thing. But with that said, it's so great to see you again, talk to you. And, even you're someone who I feel like this is another full circle moment where when I was starting to come up and everything like that, you were a part of my history. So for us to have the moment at the awards, to be here talking, really such an admirer of your work. Is there anything that you want to share with your fans or any closing thoughts you have?
Man, I just want to say how cool it is that, so many years ago when we were both at William Morris and then WME, we meet people over the course of our life, and then sometimes they re-enter our lives later, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Nice to see you. And it is nice to see them, maybe, but with you, man, it's like, I remember the first moment that I went in there to tape, for that very first voiceover that I sure as hell didn't get, but interacting with you, and I was like, man, who's this guy? This guy's something, man. This guy's really something. So it's cool, man. It's really, really cool.
It is so cool. Oh my gosh, it's so mutual. Every time I know we run into each other, and it's just so good to have this full circle moment. I'm so glad to be part of your journey again. Everyone, give it up for my buddy, Mr. Rob Mays. You need to get his single, No Other, which is on all music platforms, including Spotify and iTunes. His new film, 5,000 Blankets, is available now. And you got to watch his new movie, Sweet on You, directed by the great Marla Sokoloff, available now. Rob, you always have a spot here, my friend, and I got to get my ass out to Nashville and watch you perform live again sometime soon, and I can't wait to rock out with you soon, brother.
Man, come on out. I got a whole bunch of really cool dates coming up in March, so listen to Room Cafe and the big CRS Country Radio Seminar. I got a big show coming up there, and some other really cool stuff. So, man, you're always welcome. So come on by, and we'll have a beer and listen to some country music.
You got it, my brother. Keep rocking.
Awesome, man. I love you.
I love you.